Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to my presentation. My name is Engineer Chibuike John. I'm a marine engineer, a chief engineer. I would like to take us a little bit through my presentation on the Apple products. The presentation is all about the risk assessment carried out in Apple products, so as to create a balance between risk and reward in their product, which is absolutely the way every organization manages to make success in their business and also to progress. So at first, I will take us through the table of content without spending much time here. The content covers everything that I'm going to be saying in this slide, ranging from the introduction to the risk decision making and reward balancing. Okay, my first slide is all about the introduction to the Apple. We all know that Steve Jobs, Steve Wozen, and Ronald Wayne, they are the co-owners of the executive. Unfortunately, Steve Jobs is dead. The active year of the product is from 1976, when they started their first computer, to present. Product name is Apple, as we all know. Headquartered is Cupertino, California, United States. The products that are in the market for them is the computer phones, portable music player like the iPods and so on and so forth, ranging to the Apple TV and the Apple Watches and so on. That is the ETC here. So my risk assessment, the Apple risk assessment process, will cover the organization from the sourcing, manufacturing, warehousing, distribution, and the returns. So the first is going to be the risk assessment matrix. The matrix itself is rated from 1 to 5 for the consequences and also from 1 to 5 for the likelihood. I had to use this table because this is what Apple use, and I have to use this 1 to 5 by 1 to 5 for because of its elaborate in being able to classify the risk to the finest one. So at first, the green indicates that it is safe to carry out any operation, and it is rated from 1 to 3. The yellow indicates a moderate risk, as can be shown in this risk calculation matrix. It's a moderate risk and is rated from 4 to 6. It simply means that even though you want to carry out any operation here, you have to be extremely safe. And if you still have some mitigating measures to bring it down to green, better. The orange, it shows a high risk and it is rated from 8 to 12. High risk simply means that the job cannot be carried out without using mitigating measures to bring it down to green, or at most the yellow. The red is actually an extreme risk. Extreme in the sense that both the likelihood and the consequences are high. So in that case, risk assessment must be conducted here to bring it to the green zone for it to be done. But in a case where that cannot be done, the operation has to be suspended until alternative ways are found to make it safe. My first risk assessment from my table of content is the sourcing. The sourcing covers the cost of the project budgets, customers' impact, HR resource requirements, organizational impact, quality, security, and schedule. I would like to start with the cost and project budget. For the likelihood of the cost and project budget, which is actually the foundation of the entire project, really matters for the success of every project. So for that reason, the severity is high, and the likelihood of it happening if measures are not put in place is also high. Somehow moderate, but it's high. So if you look at the 3 and 5, that gives you 15, and that is a very high risk. Very high risk, and it simply means that we cannot carry out that operation until the mitigating measures, as outlined here, are followed. What are the mitigating measures? Use of proper end value management practice, which we treated in our main report. Having sufficient funds before starting a project so we don't leave it on the road. Use of qualified personnel so people don't make the wrong decisions. So if all these are in place, the likelihood of this mistake happening comes down to 1. So that means the likelihood of the risk is reduced to 1 because we have the right measures in place. And the severity, if it does happen, is also reduced to 4. Why? Because if you have the right people in place to make the right decision at the right time, even though it falls out of place, the severity is not going to be such that the company is going to go bankrupt. There will be, because nobody's above mistakes, but there is a mistake that is made from someone who knows what he's doing and someone who doesn't even have a clue. So it brings us to the green zone. That means, or yellow, that means the job can be carried out after the mitigating measures have been followed. We go to the customer's impact. We don't really have much to do with customers here because we are not sourcing for products or whatever. So we don't have much interactions with customer, except for very few, probably the ones that we get very few information from. So it is actually negligible. So that means mitigating measures is not required, and this is 2. If it does happen, likelihood is 2 and severity is negligible. So you can see that it's 2-2 here. HR resource requirement, that is very important. Why? Because we need this HR resource requirement to get competent people. For even to carry out both the cost project budget, we need these people, the HR, to make that selection for us, to get us competent people. So likelihood of making this wrong if we do not have the HR department on check is high. And severity is also high. Why? Because if they bring the wrong set of people, we will be having issues even with the cost and budget too. So it is 12. Job cannot be done until the mitigating measures are carried out, which is what? Employing the right set of people. And, keeping them on check and also carrying out regular checks to avoid bottleneck in that department. So when all this is done, you can see that the likelihood is down to 1. Severity after mitigation is also down to 3. Why? Because with all the right things in place, it is somehow not very, very possible for us to make mistakes, in choosing the people that are calculating the budget and the design and everything for us. So you see, it's 3. We can do the job. Organizational impact, the same thing have also been conducted, is down to 3 after 8. And quality, it was also conducted. It gave us 10, not possible to do. After all, mitigating measure like implementation of good quality control, good research and development process, product quality audit, etc., we are also down to 4. Security, I have to go to this one because security have been a major threat in the world today. Look at what is happening in Ukraine, some places in Africa, in US, and so on and so forth. If we are working, we need our security. So that is why the risk and severity is high, because if there is security breach, there is problem. So we need to find a way to mitigate this. What are the ways? Increase security in the area of operation, good communication network in case you need to call 911, and then more so being able to check ourselves and all and so on and so forth. In so doing, at least the likelihood of it happening will be reduced. But then the severity of security breach is still high, regardless. It's still high if it's been breached. So it keeps us at 10. 10 means it cannot be done in unsafe area. It must be done in area that is safe. But if you're working on area that is not safe, then the job cannot be done. So that's why it's still on the red zone. It's actually orange, but it means that additional checks has to be done even for it to be done. You have to be in a safe area or safe zone. Schedule has got to do with time and everything, and that have also been covered by the first one here. If you have all these things in check in the cost and project budget, then schedule wouldn't be a problem. So it was 6. After training on time management and event planning, it is down to 3. That means good to go. The presentation continues for the production risk assessment carried out. Lots of reds here, but after the mitigating measures, we are down to green. I don't want to take much of our time. It's so on and so forth. HR resource requirement here, in this case, is very, very important in the production. Why? Because production is done in China, and it's a contracted job. So it means that the quality control in Apple does not have much effect here. That is why the resource requirement is high. And also because Apple have had some issues with their HR in the China because of using underage to do the job, not obeying the working and rest hour, and so on and so forth. So this simply means that there should be regular audits in this area. It's actually yellow. It means the job can be done, but with regular audits to make sure that they don't fall to the orange or the red zone. Now, organizational impact continues that way till down. Now, the third one is the warehousing. Warehousing is where the products are being stored. There are lots of risks, especially the risk pertaining to security here. Logistic budget can be taken care of, and after all this, you can see that it's been reduced to green, and the job is a success. Now I go on to the distribution. Distribution has also got to do with logistics and everything. It's a little bit different from the warehousing in the sense that in the distribution and the selling, you have the customer service in place, and that is a very big factor. If you have the right customer service, you will make more sales. If you have the wrong ones, it will be a problem. So it was 12, and after a lot of training and have been done, and security in payment have been done, this is brought down to 2. It means that it's a safe to go. After all these risks have been calculated, I jump into finding the right balance between risk reward and decision making. How do I do this? You can see from my risk return trade-off that low risk simply means low return, high risk means high return. But this is not always the case in every organization. Sometimes low risk can lead to high return, and high risk can lead to low return. It all depends on the calculation and the decision making at the end of the day. So, but as a rule of thumb, this simply means that high risk leads to high return and low risk leads to low return. So we move to the Apple's decision and how the risk and reward balances out. How do they do this? Like you can see here, the risk reward ratio is a common concept in the investment world. It reminds investors that they should balance the risk and reward on an investment before making a decision. Now, in Apple's success over the years, have been through the companies balancing their risk and reward ratio. And this has come through making the right decision at the right time. So, this we can all believe that and agree that Apple have been one of the successful company in the food chain among their competitors. And this is because of their balance in risk, reward, and decision making. So they have been able to do that through their risk assessment, which I've gone through already, and then I've come up with this balancing here. Thank you very much, and then thank you everyone for your time and attention. So if there is any question, please do not hesitate to ask. I'm delighted to make this presentation. Thank you.